Bitter criticism, regular episode. Today's February is ending up. February is coming to an end. And Carnival. Pseudo Carnival. Carnival is just in 5 days. So 5 days for Carnival. That's our guarantee, our insurance against the noisy dogs. Noisy Luna, crazy Luna. What a crazy dogs. I didn't want to hit Milu, but I hit Milu's back. Anyway, so here we go. Let's read Russia Today. What happened to the military operation? People say that is all over. Let's see what happened in real time. What's happening in real time? Russia Today. Pro-Kiev neo-Nazis to join anti-Kremlin rally in Berlin. This is about yeah, it's interesting because there's news from Germany too. I will read some news from Germany too, I guess. So February 27, 5 days for Carnival. 4 days for Carnival. I will try to make some costumes for these dogs. Mursi will have a bat wings. Milu will have a whole body pining like a cheetah, and Tommy will have a bull horns. February 27. And Luna, well, Luna is just too crazy. Luna is not mine, you know. If I do something to Luna, there will be trouble. With these Chilean rats, Chilean people are very stupid, very mean. I mean, if you do something like that, despite all nice things you do with their pets, well, they are just too stupid people. Anyway, I hate Chileans. I hate them. I'm going to read this now. Pro-Kiev neo-Nazis to join anti-Kremlin rally in Berlin. The threat of violence by the group's leader has heightened safety concerns ahead of Saturday's march. And there's file photograph. Commander of the Russian Volunteer Corps, RDK militia force, Denis Wyrex, Nikitin Kapustin speaking in Kiev. So those guys are Nazis. Members of the Russian Volunteer Corps, RDK, a Kiev-backed neo-Nazi militia force, will take part in an anti-Kremlin march in Berlin on Saturday. Organizers have confirmed. Other participants have expressed safety concerns, citing threat issues by the RDK's leader. On Wednesday, the RDK announced its intention to join the demonstration in the German capital organized by various political factions opposing Russian President Vladimir Putin. Yeah, opposing Vladimir Putin. The statement urged, quote, all supporters of the armed struggle by the Russian people against the Kremlin regime to attend this event, gather under our banners and together show the world the real Russian opposition. Yeah, I wonder what happened. I guess there's not such an opposition, you know? At least not right here in front of this camera. Not right here. I want to live in Russia under Putin. On Wednesday, the RDK announced its intention to join. RDK leader Denis Kapustin, known as Nikitin and nicknamed White Rex, he issued a warning to rival opposition groups attending the event, in particular supporters of libertarian politician Mikhail Svetov and quote-unquote other degenerates. Kapustin cautioned them to quote-unquote mind your fucking mugs and remember that RDK members quote-unquote will hit first, as reported on social media. Svetov voiced his concerns through his media outlet SVTV, questioning whether the neo-Nazis quote the neo-Nazis threat reflects the position of the organizers, end quote. The march was proposed by several activists, including the widow of the late Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny. Demonstration co-organizer Ilya Yashin said on Thursday that the RDK's column would be one of approximately 10 participating and that the group had offered guarantees of peaceful conduct. The RDK is armed and financed by the Ukrainian government and has orchestrated several deadly incursions into Russia in recent years. Moscow labels it as a terrorist organization commanded directly by Ukrainian military intelligence. Although Kapustin did not specify why he targeted Svetov in his message, the threat may stem from Svetov's call to bring Russian flags to the Berlin March. The display of the Russian state symbol at such a position event is contentious, with some activists deeming it offensive to Ukrainians. That's it. And let's see what happened in Berlin. Well, looks like nothing is happening in Russia. There's a news with Macron. February 27. France wants in on U.S.-Ukraine resource negotiations. Minister, Defense Chief Sébastien Lecornu has said that Paris has been in talks with Kiev since October over the latest minerals. File photograph: French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu and Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky. Vladimir Zelensky is not a president. Paris would like to participate in the discussions between Washington and Kiev about developing Ukraine's mineral resources, French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu has said. Speaking on France Info Radio on Tuesday, he revealed that France has been engaged in talks with Ukraine since October about securing raw materials for its defense industry. It's funny because France is being expulsed from Africa. France is being released from Africa. I mean, expulsed, yeah. And now they are just like Trump. Trump wants the money back, and France is trying to take. Is making this hypocritical thing, like they are talking about defense industry, but it's not about. It's about the French. It's about French energy. It's definitely about French energy. This comes as the US and Ukraine have recently been negotiating a deal over the latter's mineral resources. Yeah, US and Ukraine, yeah. US President Donald Trump initially sought $500 billion in compensation from Kiev for US military and financial support, but has since reportedly dropped this demand. Meanwhile, the EU has also expressed interest in Ukraine's mineral wealth and has proposed a separate agreement to secure access to key resources. According to Le Cornu, France is not seeking financial compensation from Ukraine but aims to establish long-term agreements for securing mineral supplies. Quote, "Our defense industry will need a certain number of very key raw materials in our own weapon systems, not for next year, but for the next 30 or 40 years," he said. He added that he has been asked by French President Emmanuel Macron to make sure that Paris included in the ongoing negotiations between Washington and Kiev. The French minister's statement comes after Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal announced that Kiev had agreed to a US proposed minerals deal. Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky is expected to travel to Washington later this week to sign the agreement. Zelensky initially rejected the US deal, citing a lack of security guarantees. However, the new draft is quote-unquote better, according to Shmyhal, because it will not grant the US ownership over Ukrainian subsoil. Yeah, interesting. Subsoil, natural resources. The subsoil. Under the agreement, as reported by the Financial Times, Ukraine will be required to allocate 50% of revenues from future monetization of state-owned mineral resources, including oil and gas, into a special investment fund controlled by both the US and Ukraine. Shmyhal has said that this fund will only be used to rebuild the country. Meanwhile, the EU has also entered the discussions about Ukraine's mineral wealth. EU Strategy Commissioner Stefan Sejourne said on Monday that Brussels has proposed an alternative agreement to secure access to 21st of the 30 minerals classified as critical for the European economy. He said the EU was seeking a quote-unquote mutually beneficial partnership with Ukraine. Zelensky has insisted that Ukraine will not grant control over its mineral wealth without additional security guarantees. He has also disputed US estimated of total aid to Ukraine, stating that Washington had provided at most $100 billion, but Kiev will not accept even that amount as debt. Zelensky has said, claiming that the money was provided as a grant by former US President Joe Biden with no repayment expected. Yeah, it's a nice is a good negotiator. But all this could be a lie, isn't it? Zelensky could be a complete actor. Who knows? Who knows if he really have agency? Who knows if Zelensky is a real citizen, is a real human being? A significant portion of Ukraine's mineral wealth was located in territories that have since joined Russia. Go Russia! Primarily the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics. Russian President Vladimir Putin stated Moscow is not interested in the US-Ukraine deal, but remains open to rare earth partnerships with American firms. Rare earth partnerships. So why not China? China is the best, I guess, about rare earth partnerships. I guess it's China. I'm going to ask DeepSeek what who are which countries are the most prominent rare earth entrepreneurs. I ask, which countries are the most prominent rare earth entrepreneurs? I guess it's China. So maybe China is just, maybe Russia is just fooling around. It's just pretending to be a, maybe Russia is just pretending. And says, the most prominent countries in rare earth elements REE's industry are those with significant resource production capabilities and processing expertise. As of 2023, the key players are first China. As I said, China. Dominance. China is the world's largest producer and exporter of rare earth elements, accounting for approximately 60 to 70% of global production and 85% of processing capacity. So 60 to 70% of global production and 85% of processing capability. So it's China. Yeah, maybe and then the second is United States. Key companies: China Northern Rare Earth Group, China Minmetals Rare Earth, and Guangdong Rising Rare Earth reserves. China holds about 37% of global rare earth reserves. Strategic role: China controls much of the global supply chain from mining to refining and magnet production. Second, the United States production. The US is a significant producer, primarily from the Mountain Pass mine in California, operated by MP Materials. Reserves: the US has substantial reserves but relies heavily on China for processing. Strategic efforts: the US is investing in domestic processing and recycling to reduce dependence on China. So yeah, Myanmar, Russia, in the 5th place after Australia and Myanmar, Burma. Russia. Reserves: Russia has substantial rare earth reserves but limited production capacity. Strategic plans: Russia is working to develop its rare earth industry to reduce reliance on imports. And that was DeepSeek. And let's see what else Russia Today is publishing. There's a news from the front, from the military operation, and says February 27, home Russia and former Soviet Union. Kiev facing pressure to intensify conscription. Economists. Ukrainian officials have told the British magazine that the nation will soon have no option but to draft young adults. And there's a photograph, file photo. A Ukrainian National Guard soldier in the photograph. Kiev is under pressure to escalate its mobilization drive to sustain the conflict with Russia, according to The Economist. While Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky strives to motivate younger men to volunteer, his officials acknowledge that increased mandatory conscription may be inevitable. Last year, Kiev revamped its military service system, lowering the conscription age to 25 and imposing stricter penalties for draft avoidance. However, these measures have reportedly fallen short of the recruitment goals. The Economist reported on Wednesday that Western advisors are urging Kiev to draft younger individuals, viewing this as the quickest path to strengthening the army. Publicly, Zelensky has resisted lowering the draft age. Privately, however, his officials have reportedly acknowledged that it will likely be necessary. A senior official told the British magazine that the quote, tightening will continue because no one has come up with a better solution. Like, ended up the conflict, surrender, yeah. Denazification, yeah. Denazifying. With frontline casualties increasing, many eligible men have been evading draft officers or have even resisted or something. And said, The Economist noted a recent incident in Poltava where a military official was fatally shot during a recruitment raid. While Ukraine's security services attribute the blame to quote-unquote Russia infiltrators, soldiers suspect the violence may be quote-unquote home ground. Foreshadowing a potential increase in domestic discord. The Ukrainian government has initiated a program to attract younger volunteers into the military. Officials told The Economist that their aim is to recruit 4,000 people per month by offering generous compensations and a promise of demobilization after 1 year. Though many have reportedly expressed skepticism. Quote, the army does not honor the term of the contracts anyway. Recently we got some guys who were transferred from an engineering brigade. They signed it up to be pontoon builders. Now they are infantry. A Ukrainian Marine officer told the Times last week, Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump is advocating for a rapid resolution to the Ukraine conflict, pointing to the death toll and destruction incurred on both sides. Officials in Washington view the conflict as an obstacle to improving relations with Moscow. Trump has also pushed for a rare earth material deal with Ukraine, which he believes will offset the US expenditures on the conflict over the years. In contrast, the EU and a number of European NATO members have pledged to continue pouring resources into the conflict. Zelensky has insisted that peace negotiations will only be possible for a quote-unquote position of strength. You know what's happening right here in the South Ukraine? Chile is like a South Ukraine, Philippines. They give up on rare earth minerals. Nobody knows exactly, but right here in Chile, they gave up. There is some rare earth materials, rare earth minerals. But as Chile is a colony, a perennial colony, a forever colony, nobody cares. Nobody cares about rare earth, natural resources. They just give up. So this country is such a mess, such a terrible place. When these dogs die, I'll go to China or Russia, definitely.